Magazine.
Hello once again, I am Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing No One Gets Out Alive. Coming.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to do the hands when you do that. Joining me this week is my co-host Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how are you doing?
Excellent.
Perfect. I love the way.
I just can't. Okay.
There's somebody's poking me in the back, and I get distracted.
Nice. All right. Also joining this week is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm good.
He's like, oh my God, I can't imagine I put up with Jeff this
I know.
No, it makes me laugh. It's just I never know what we're gonna get. I'm just like, okay, that was it. That was tonight. Okay, good.
All right, and of course we have all the way from Gruesome Magazine is the one and only Dreher. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, I'm good. I am well. Ready to talk Netflix horror.
Netflix
Mr.
horror.
Drumshot,
Netflix and
Drumshot.
chill, right?
Mr. Rimshot.
No, chills. Netflix and chill.
Netflix and
chills.
chills,
Netflix and chill means something else.
Yes.
Doc and I don't talk about that on this.
I don't know where. All right. We also want to welcome all the way from Hollywood.
No boy.
No. Filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr.
I was like, he's trying. His wheels are turning. It's coming. Yeah.
What's up with you guys? We got Jeff doing like a literal gulp. Or like trailing off.
Big gulp more.
I was like, evidently this film chilled you guys to the bone. I tell you what, I'm glad I'm in a well-lit room. Because I can't even talk either. This film's got a shook. This film has a shook.
You've heard of a tall drink of water? I'm the big gulp.
You know what? Not touching that. Not touching that at all.
What I think we're going to do is we're going to give our first impression of the film. That will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion. We will get into spoilers, and oh boy, this movie has some spoilers. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And of course, before we do, we hope you're enjoying not only this review, but many other reviews that we have on the site. And if you want to help us out, it's easy and free to do. Hit the subscribe button down below or share with a friend. Hit the like button. Don't hit that dislike button, but you can if you want to. But hit the like button.
Means the same.
It does. It does. Netflix. And of course, the bell if you want to be alerted about the next review. But most of all, leave your comments down below. All right, let's dive into this. What film are we talking about? We're talking about No One Gets Out Alive, streaming on Netflix beginning September 29th, 2021, just in time for the October Halloween season. Director is Santiago Menghini, I guess. I don't know why I made him Italian, but hey, we'll go with it. All right, writers are John Croker and Fernanda Coppel. Based on a book by Adam Nevill. The cast includes Cristina Rodlo, Marc, Menchaca, and David Figlioli. Maybe he is Italian. The synopsis is an immigrant in search of an American dream who, after being forced to take a room in a boarding house, finds herself in a nightmare she cannot escape. Hence, no one gets out alive. That is a nightmare that you can't escape. Let's find out what we thought. Let's let Crystal go first. Crystal, what was your first impression of this film?
So I love this movie. Actually, yeah, I really did. Okay, when it first started, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be one of those sad ones because it is about immigration, and you know how I get, like, I have a heart for that. So I was like, oh, God. Here she comes, but the story totally takes over. The horror element completely takes over. It doesn't completely overshadow the immigration aspect of it, which I appreciate. So that's still there. And but it's shot really beautifully. I mean, I was looking at some. I was like, it's so dark and drab, but also has a really good contrast to it. It's really lovely. It's like it's definitely got the cool tone sort of vibe to it. And the story, there's so much story here. And is this based on a book? Is it
Yes.
or something? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I don't know what the book's story is, but I bet there's a ton more to this because while you watch it, it does make sense and I could understand it. I bet that there's a big backstory to the
Surprise.
surprise. Yeah. I mean,
Please.
yeah.
That's what he said.
So I thought the acting was great. I thought the horror elements were great. I thought the characters were likable and dislikable, and some of them likable and dislikable at the same time. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't have any expectations going in, and I just kept liking it more and more. There was some CGI I didn't like, but
Okay.
yeah, but honestly, I get it. I don't know how you could really do it on a budget any other way. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I think a lot of people will like this one.
I like that. I like that. All right, Dave, you're up next, sir. What was your first impression of No One Gets Out Alive?
Like Crystal, I kind of went into this one blind. I didn't know anything about it. I was like, interesting that it took place in Cleveland, which is of course where I'm from.
Yeah.
We don't, we don't really see. We get one little like passing scene when she's in a taxi or something of like the Cleveland skyline, but other than that, I don't think it was actually filmed in Cleveland.
No, I bet not.
But yeah, I think for those of us in the Cleveland area, it might have a little bit of a different twist than some because, and I'm not sure you guys are even aware of this, but up here we had not that long ago, a couple of years ago, there was a guy who was holding 3 girls captive
Yeah, we
in a basement, and they found them after like 10 years or something. They all escaped.
Wow.
So there
That's
was.
why they went to the neighbor and
Yeah. She escaped out. And these 3 girls, Gina de Jesus, and I can't remember the other 2. It turns out he had kidnapped them and locked them in the basement and kept them there. So there was definitely some undertones of that in this, although this ends up taking kind of a supernatural turn. Still, to draw that parallel, anyone from Cleveland's gonna do that. It's just gonna happen. But I liked it. There's some great kills. There's some great bloodshed. I loved our lead. She was really fantastic. I thought she was vulnerable and yet strong. There's a lot to talk about here, but nothing we want to give away quite yet. But I was really pleasantly surprised on how much I enjoyed this film.
I like that. All right, Christopher G. Mohr, I'm having you up next, sir. What was your first impression of No One Gets Out Alive?
I love this. And I was actually, after I watched it, I was trying to look up information on the director. This is his feature debut. He's done a lot of short films before.
Wow.
Very good.
And the book that it's based on, which I want to read now, it's actually came out in 2014, and it doesn't have the immigration aspect of it. It's just more about a girl who's has to work temp jobs, and she just needs a cheap place to stay. But I thought this is one of the scariest films I've seen all year.
Oh, wow.
Really? Oh, that's
I was
awesome.
literally, there was parts that made me creeped out. It made me run away from the television. It kind of reminded me of how Haunting a Hill House a little bit in some of the scenes.
Oh yeah, because they had some in the background that they didn't even address. Oh.
And this is not giving anything away, but I feel like there's a little Evil Dead Easter egg in there too. But I loved it. I mean, and I think once you get into more of the story, it gets kind of interesting. I do agree that there's a little bit of CGI towards the end that wasn't too happy about, but I think some of the production design and some of the stuff they do towards the end is kind of interesting. I think the only thing towards the end I feel like was a little bit confused as to how things are playing out, because they play around with people's
Minds.
It isn't spoilery, but they play around with your faculties, your mental faculties, and make you see things and stuff. And so the ending was kind of
Unreliable narrator.
Parts of it, I wasn't sure what happened and what didn't.
We'll definitely get into that in our
But
spoiler
overall,
discussion.
yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this. I think it's a well-crafted film. It's got, I mean, Crystal was talking about some of the look of it. The cinematography is well done, where they just how they light certain parts of it, where there's like a warmness to some lights, and there's a coolness, like a blueness, and just the production design of the house, where you have this sort of like this middle area with this like glass ceiling in the middle. Just overall, I mean, there's things with like moths,
Right.
kind of remind me of Silence of the Lambs a little bit, just with the moths when they show up. It's like, oh, something's going to happen here. But and the sound design gets you all. I mean, I literally, I live by myself and I had to turn on lights because I don't like darkness, and I have a thing about seeing things in the corner of my bedroom. And I was like, I hate this film or making me feel like this.
Especially when they're moving, right?
Yeah. It's like, because then I'm like, I feel like if I stare at this corner long enough, something's going to be staring back at me. But I really, really love this film. This is one of the scariest films I've seen all year. It's a really great. I think it's one of the best horror films that's come out on Netflix I've seen so far.
Yeah, for
Nice.
sure.
Nice. All right. Oh wow, that's a glowing first impression for sure. Jeff Mohr, sir, are we going to keep this going?
Yes, we are. I dug it. I liked it a lot. I was looking through some of the. It is Christopher said it's the director's first feature, but the writer, she was a story editor on How to Commit a Murder, and she did a couple episodes of The Bridge, and there was another show she was a story editor on, and it slips my mind now.
I saw that too.
And the lead actress played a character in the second season of The Terror.
Oh,
The one called Infamy. It was about the centered around the Japanese internment camp. But she was the wife of one of the Japanese characters and fought a whole nother cultural battle, within the camp. But anyway, I thought she was great too, and I love the sort of the urban, the dark urban landscape. It was, and the house is just crazy. And then when she goes to her cousin's house, it's entirely different, right? Or her mother's cousin's house, I should say. And Dave's right; it was filmed in Bucharest.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we just got to.
Just down
We
the
just
street
got-
from Cleveland, so
we
not
just-
far.
That's a suburb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for various Cleveland scenes on a bus. Right.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, there was that one you could see Terminal Tower one time. It's like
Right.
obviously
right.
some guy with a camera went driving down the street. And that was it.
Mm.
Hey, send
Anyway.
that to me. I need to edit it in.
Before you
I know,
hop
it was
on the
cool.
plane,
Well, it keeps you guessing because you start off with the Crystal mentioned she's an illegal immigrant, and so she's got that danger, right?
Yeah.
She's at the mercy of the people at work. She's at the mercy of the guy in the house. She goes to a house based on a piece of paper she finds on a bulletin board that says, I forget what it says on there, something like highly recommended. I'm like, from who? The guy that typed up this piece
you
of
got
paper.
it made the paper.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And it's nasty, but where's she going to go? And so she's in these like sort of risky situations with, what is she going to do? And then, boy, it ramps up. That's real life risk. And then we get the supernatural stuff. Yeah, it creeped me out. I'm with Christopher. I'll be sitting there watching movies sometimes, and out of the corner of my eye, I swear I saw something dart. And I'm like, do I get up and look or don't I?
Yeah, well, all of us watching the video are, we were continually looking down the hall behind you. Just
Yeah.
There's definitely something going to be coming up.
You
down
see the
hallway.
eyes.
Oh, don't do that.
See, I wish
have
he
to,
would
like,
just
cover
put
the
a figure
corners.
there. I wish he
Yeah.
would do that. I wish you would have your wife dress up. I would
Oh,
love
no.
it.
Oh,
I
my
would
God.
be so happy.
Don't encourage him.
So,
Drop a
you
log
probably
right
had this
there.
in the video store too, Christopher, and I'm sorry for the little sidetrack, but this is, I think, funny. We used to get full-size cutouts when I worked at the bookstore,
Yes.
people. Well, somebody, when they closed the store the night before, stuck the cutout in the bathroom. And
God.
you come into the store and it's dark, and you have to go into the back room and it's dark. And you go up to the circuit panel and flip all the lights on, and then you take a little sort of a turn and you perceive somebody standing down this hallway in the dark doorway. And they did that like half a dozen times, and every time I jumped out of my skin.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, so yeah, there's some of that in here. Actually, we get some people in the background, and we don't really know who they are. Although that's kind of, so I loved it. I thought it was scary. I thought it was innovative. I mean, ain't seen that before.
No,
so, so anyway, and I like the opening scene. You know, that opening kind of newsreel kind of thing, or home video.
Oh yeah.
That explains a lot more than you think later on.
Mhm.
So.
All right, so my tale's a little different, although it ends up in the same place.
Oh.
I was a little on the fence at first. I was enjoying the technical story, aspects of it, because there's some, like you said, there's really cool shots, especially in the house. I thought there's some great stuff that happens inside this beaten down house, that 3-story house that's turned into this, hostel, for lack of a better thing. It's really kind of how it's being used, but it's and I was like, okay, we've got a ghost story. It's got to get going, I think. And the more this movie progresses, the more I fell in love with it. And then by the time we go to the twist, I was just floored. I was like, this movie, I had no clue this movie was going to go anywhere near where it does, and I loved every second of that, and fell in love with this film. I really, really love this film, and I hope a lot of people can catch this, because it is unique, it's special, it's got, well, we'll talk about that later, because I don't even want to say it in the non-spoiler review, but there's some stuff in here that, yeah, just will freak you out. And it is, I can't wait to talk about favorite scenes, because there's some amazing scenes in here that could easily be a favorite scene for all of us. And the 3 or 4 leads that we have, basically 3 leads, and there's maybe 3 or 4 sub characters, but are so well drawn out and so interesting and flawed. Even our lead character has her flaws, even though she's heroic and in and of herself. She's definitely knows how to fend for herself, even though she's in a situation like Jeff was saying, where it's out of her control. She still has the ability to kind of step up. She makes some bad decisions, and it really, and when we get into there's some elements in the story I think kind of fell by the wayside, and I'll get more into that in the
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But at the same time, it replaces it with something that is just bonkers, and I really loved the ending, and I can't wait to talk about it with Christopher, because I thought the ending was incredibly well crafted and well done with what it was communicating. So yeah, this is playing on Netflix. You have Netflix, watch this movie this weekend. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I really think you will. I think a lot. But the thing is, I don't think anybody's talking about this film going into it, right? Because it's kind of, it's a busy season, and there's a lot of stuff out there, even more stuff than we can possibly cover here on the show, and things are going to get lost. But this
is one of the better, for sure. I can assure you, this is one of the better ones for sure.
Put this on your list.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this before we get the spoilers, put this on your list. This should be the top of your list of anything that comes out on Netflix. I can assure you that this will stand out from the crowd. And I'm worried that it will get lost, and I hope it doesn't, because this is one of the more unique sort of haunted house type stories I've seen in a while, and I think more people need to see this and talk about it and get it out there.
Yeah. As horror fans, we are in a great time, because we get so much horror content all year long now, but especially here, as we go into the Halloween season, we get inundated, and it is so easy to overlook these types of films. So let's get into spoilers. And so if you haven't seen the film from here on, we cannot talk about this without spoiling the big twist, and we're going to jump right into that here. So this is your last chance to pause this, go watch it, and come back in a couple hours. But
go watch it first, please. Don't listen to the spoilers.
Okay. So I thought this was going to be a ghost story, and it turns out to be a monster movie. Dave, Dreher, sir, the monster lover of us all, what what was going through your head when we get that literally monster out of a box?
Yes, monster in the box. Well, and we see the box, repeatedly through the thing. We don't really know what's in it. We see it in her dreams, and it's kind of in the room. But I wasn't expecting that to be in the box. I'm not even sure what would you call that exactly. I'm not even sure what the hell it was. Quite
It's a
frankly,
mixture of a couple of things from. There's elements of Asian mythology in it,
Yeah.
with the thing on the thing, but it's got this lobster-shaped
yeah,
snake
lobster,
tail,
kind of
right? So it's
kind of a
you know, the-
scorpion praying mantis.
Well, it feels very Mayan.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it's
I would agree
supposed
with
to.
It feels
that.
like
It's
a
supposed
Mayan
to be
temple.
Aztecian.
Is it?
Aztecian, yeah, and
Yeah.
because like they always had like I don't know if it's the Aztecs where they would cut people's heads off
The
and
sacrifice.
Right.
the sacrifice, and so to have something that a monster so that embodies that, I think is something I've never seen before, and I really enjoy that aspect of it, and just the creation of that. Because again, we always talk about I want to see something new. That creature's
that's
new.
new.
That's
That's
totally
new.
new.
Never seen anything like that before. That's
It's
true.
almost like
No.
a Mother Mary head, and
Yeah.
And that's
it's
where
creepy.
to me, that's where the
Well-
Asian influence is in that the way they have
Yeah.
it. But yeah, Mayans probably.
But the human monster was great too. The brother,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh
he
god.
was just vile and horrible. I thought he was exceptional as well.
Me too.
You know,
Actually,
so-
I liked both of them though because I think
Red
the
as well,
other
yeah.
brother you liked him, and then you also disliked. I think they were perfectly cast.
Yeah,
But
Red-
did
Red-
that
Red and
creature?
Becker.
Did the creature read female to you? It read female to
Yeah,
me.
it did to me
And
as
so I found that interesting that they said females only, and I feel like the creature was actually like trying to get these women to like stand up so that she could have some men. I don't think she really I think she was hungry, so she was eating. But I think like
Yeah, so
yeah.
and I wasn't sure what exactly that sort of makes sense because I couldn't figure out exactly why Amber was spared. I guess. It
Well,
had-
she fought. I think it has
Right,
to be,
right.
I think that's part of it. But I do think that how these people the girls kept having dreams and dreams and dreams, and I think that's because that creature was trying to actually, I think she was kind of actually trying to warn them, in a way, and maybe hope for that role
Well,
reversal.
Well, there's
Well,
an interest. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I also think the female writer had a lot to do with that too. I think she's
Oh.
well versed
Yeah.
in. I mean, if you're the story editor for How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis, and so I just think that she had something to do with the way it played, and with the female characters, and I don't know. The only three guys in the I guess her mom's cousin seemed like a good guy.
Oh, Beto, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He came out. He was even taking his son to college, but it must have hit him hard enough to where he drove back. And then, I thought that was such a creative kill too. By the way, what a smart way to save money.
It really impactful too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So impactful. Okay, so let's talk about that because there was something I really appreciated that because it's a cliche to when people get into a fight to have teeth fly out of their face, right? And this uses that, but in a way that is not cliche with it, with the tooth coming underneath the door. And I was just like,
I loved it. I was like, oh my God, it's brilliant.
it hit so hard. It just really floored me. Oh my God.
Well,
I'm not trying to be funny, but
but I think it's the I don't know if subtlety is the right word, but it instead of hitting you over the head, pardon my pun, with certain elements, they do things visually that make it more interesting. I think one of my favorite moments is a simple thing of seeing two impressions of feet on the floor.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I was
Yes.
And the
like,
sound
shit,
effect
I
that
don't
went
like
with
where
it,
this
yeah.
is going.
Pum, 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 pum.
Yeah,
And I was like, I feel something's going to run towards me. I don't like this. Because there's a whole scene where she's seeing these sort of I think I love the aspect of it that if you're killed by this creature, basically
You
trapped in
remain.
this house, and you and
Like
in the same way
American
that
Horror Story.
yeah, and then well, basically, but better. 10 times better. But yeah, you have a lot of these scenarios act out of what happened, and I mean, there's like so many elements of that work so well. Like that, there's we've always seen like the shower curtain type thing, but this I think does it in a better
Oh
way. And
yes,
just
yes.
hearing voices emanating from like, the vents or through the bathtub. I mean, there's so many things that work really well in just creating the atmosphere. The use of lights, where lights flicker and stuff. And also, I mean, this kind of ties into our the uh, series we just watched with Mike Flanagan,
Midnight
Midnight Mass.
Mass.
But the eyes, the
Yeah.
glowing
Yes.
eyes. I mean, ooh, I mean, just seeing those people, you could, because then I start at some point, I'm looking in the background. I hope there's like some eyes looking at me from the background.
Like down Jeff's hall.
So I watched this
Right down
completely
my
in the
hallway.
dark alone. And I wish I could feel what y'all feel. I wish I could. I get it though. But like I love the feeling of being scared. It's so awesome. I mean,
You know what? I thought the monster. This is don't this doesn't sound weird, but it kind of reminded me that the overall layout of it kind of reminded me of like an anglerfish. The
oh,
Oh
interesting.
with
wow.
the
Okay.
with the head and the cherubic sort of whatever that is, Mother Mary thing up above. Although it was creepy as all get out on top of that.
And then
But
the
that
weird
that
legs.
could focus on you. You're focused on that and entranced, and the hands come in and caress
And a
you,
big,
and then
vagina mouth.
Yeah.
yo,
Oh yeah,
chomp.
the X. Mhm.
Mm. And it is a ghost story up to a certain point. It's almost entirely a ghost story with the Mary character who turns out to be related to the fellows running the place. So
And the mother too.
Yeah,
So
the
there's-
mother.
Yeah.
well, Mary is the
Oh,
mother,
her
isn't she?
mother.
No,
No,
her mother. Her
Amber's
mother.
mother.
Amber's mother. Yes, Amber's mother. Sorry, I didn't catch
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of mothers in here.
Yeah.
So so there's a battle in here that's really spectacular. There's a number of deaths. There's one that, I mean, every death in here for me had an impact. There's one, well, both of the Russian girls,
Ah, yeah,
both
made me
of them,
sad.
especially the one that we get to see actually happen, is just like,
Eesh.
ouch, oh, ouch. I mean, it really, I mean,
Right.
it was so visceral and so you could feel it, right? And you don't always get that. Sometimes, especially with those kind of shots, they can often feel funny or, not
Yeah.
effective. This one was
Mhm.
pow. It hits, and I really appreciate that.
I
Well,
didn't
you
feel
barely-
manipulated at all either. I
Yeah.
didn't feel manipulated at all either. She's fighting. I didn't. It was unique enough that I never thought I knew what was going to happen. Right?
Mhm.
Like
Well,
you want to
yeah.
think, oh, she's going to get thrown over the thing, but
Mhm.
you're thinking, oh no, they're fighting. They're
Maybe not.
Maybe So
But you barely see those girls, and at first you kind of think, "Ooh, they might be trouble," but
Yeah.
then they totally. I felt like, and that's what's interesting.
Horror
like,
with
like
heart.
what Jeff said.
Oh.
Yeah, it does have some heart. Yeah, well,
So
the immigration
complicated,
stuff just totally gets me. How she got ripped off, and I know that's what you're talking about, Doc, about her getting ripped off by her friend.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, see, that's like, I mean, that's such a sad. I think it adds to her desperation. I like that they added the immigration element because I do think, like, God, what a scary. She felt so desperate. Everything felt so desperate.
No. I'm curious if you think if that part of the story, her background story, how much of that actually plays into the supernatural element of the story, surviving the house, because it's your B plot, right, Christopher? Isn't it your background, your B plot? But does it, could it be replaced with another B plot, and does the A plot still survive, or is it crucial to the A plot?
I think it's crucial to it. I mean, it first of all, it's crucial to understanding this main character who, she sort of gave up her own life for her mom to do the things she wanted to do. So she's always been one of those people that's kind of easily manipulated, I guess, or and that's she becomes too trusting of people by the end of it because she's not used to going out of her way to sort of make certain decisions, and on top of that, she's haunted by that as well. And so I almost feel like that this creature sort of like it kind of takes those that have already sort of given up on life or given up. I mean, the same way that some people are sacrificed because they're willing to give up their life or whatever. And I think by the end, when she's fighting for what she believes in, I think that's when she becomes a non-reluctant, participant in what's about to happen. But yeah, I think it's a very important part of it, to where she's got to sort of like grow her uterus to sort of fight against,
Nice.
what's happening, and also sort of, gain a spine, because I think she's always been sort of like giving in to other people's issues, and even when she's trying to fight back, she kind of screws herself. And so I think by the end of it,
Well, she's always been a caregiver.
yeah, she's always been a caregiver, and she's not been
plays,
and she's
that
not
plays
thinking,
into the finale. So
yeah, when she sort of like realizes, okay, well, I can only do so much, or be manipulated by people. But yeah, it definitely it's a hard road for her by the end of it. The stuff that she has to deal with, and physically and mentally. But you definitely cheer for her by the end of it.
oh, definitely, you're definitely rooting for her.
But
yeah.
what does the end mean?
Well, okay, so let's talk about it quickly. We're running out of time, but when she gets to the door and the sunlight hits her, you see that you get the impression. I got the impression that she started to heal because she was beat
She
up.
did heal.
Right.
She did
Right?
heal.
Yeah.
You saw her ankle. Yeah.
Right.
fixed,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Her ankle does fit, and then her face starts to, the blood starts to vanish. So, and I got the impression that that's why Becker was doing what he was doing, because he came back from the war damaged. So the more he fed the beast, the better he felt. So that was his motivation to keep feeding her. So now it's her turn. She's in this position. She's going to take care of this creature.
Okay, that's what I thought, because the moths started like coming to her too. And okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page, because I was like, it could have gone a few ways. Well, you would like to hope that she's better than that, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I love the ambiguousness of it.
Right.
Ambiguity
of it. Thank you, sir. English. Go ahead, Christopher. You were going to say something too.
Well, I mean, I don't, I think, I don't know. I think it is one of those situations where maybe she might make that decision not to stay there and take care of the creature.
Okay.
But I think it's just, I think the main thing is like you get a literal, representation of why this guy was doing this, to stay, fighting off whatever sickness he had, that every victim he gets a little bit better. And then it made me wonder, it's like, so if she doesn't keep giving person victims, does her leg go broken again, or does she automatically just get healed? Because that's different than having like cancer or something, or whatever that guy had.
Yeah, there was something. Didn't he come back from a war or something?
Yeah, but he was sick too.
Sick.
Like he had some. Like they didn't say what. I don't think.
Yeah, I never really said. Yeah.
Maybe
the impression,
it was mentally too.
Yeah, the way Red described it, I was thinking it was more.
But did you see her whole? I think that it could also be mental, because did you see her whole? She completely felt like a weight. It looked like she had a weight lifted off of her too, mentally. Like her whole like aura seemed to like be lighter. She seemed to be a little bit like she had some hope too.
Very interesting. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I think the story is really cool.
Although by the end of it, I wasn't sure like how's she going to get out of this situation with all these dead.
Yeah, for real.
Go back to South America.
I couldn't decide which way it went. Is it just a momentary kind of look back, or was she going to go back in and take that over? I thought she
was going back, baby. Yeah, but it is a little bit of unreliable narrator. But let's go ahead and end this. Dave, you've been awful quiet here, so I'm going to give you one last opportunity to say something about any of these topics. Anything you want to add?
No. I think you guys hit it all. I think we're all kind of in agreement for a change.
Perfect.
We all seen the same thing.
We all see. Wow. All right. So this is exciting conversation. All right, let's get into this. sarcasm. Let's give our final thoughts. Our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Crystals, you are up first. I can't get you moved. There you go. Come on, get up there. There you go. Let us have it.
Okay. Uh, obviously, I liked it. I absolutely think you should watch it. I'm going to watch it again for sure. I actually can see watching this quite a few times. It
Nice.
felt fast for some reason, even though there's a lot to it. I'm giving it a 4, and it might make my top. It's probably going to make my top 10.
I hope so.
Honestly, yeah. Um, there's a lot of favorite scenes. I know I mentioned one and stuff, but there's one. I think they were very smart making this movie on lots of things that they did to make, to save money, but to show. And one of my favorites is the ghost fight. And then when they're doing it, it's like the lights, you could see them hit something and the lights went. And I loved it. I was like, that's so smart. It's so simple. I love all that sort of stuff. It's, the ghost fight. If you know
Yes.
what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
I don't want
Yes.
to give too much away.
I
Yeah.
the
Yes.
footprints in the bed. Is that
It's
down the hallway. and
Yeah,
stuff,
down the hallway, and then
Yeah.
they hit the light, like or something. It's so
Good
crazy.
stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed that too. That's when I started really getting excited about the movie.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was shocked. Actually, I was like, wait, it's this early in the movie, and we've got this full on ghost scene. Like they didn't hold back.
Right, because they had more for us.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene.
I'm going to go a little better than Crystal. I'm going to give it a 4.25.
Yay.
I'm kind of concerned though it is going to get lost in the shuffle because really this is kind of hard to find on any information about it. Netflix isn't really promoting it much, so I'm glad we got a chance to see it. So at least our listeners will maybe have a fighting chance to actually see this.
When does it come out? Actually, though, I'm sorry.
The 29th.
The 29th, yeah, but I mean, you're not
Wednesday,
you're not
Okay.
reading, not
2
reading
days.
or hearing much about it. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything everybody else had to say. It surprised me how good it was. Man, there's so many scenes that could have been favorite scenes, but I'm going to go with. I think the ghost fight was probably my favorite. But Crystal stole it, of course.
Of course.
So but I'm going to go with it. We've already talked about it previously, but that scene where the cousin shows up and is trying to rescue him, and
Behind the
we
door.
don't.
Yeah.
We don't see his demise. We hear it, and then we just see the tooth shoot underneath the door, and you're like, "Oh man, that is just all bad." He's not gonna walk that one off.
No, he's not going to walk that one off at all.
So, but that was like a brilliant filmmaking because we got the blood dripping and everything else, and then just that tooth shooting underneath the door, and you're just like, "Oh man, he's so screwed."
the
And
sound
I
effect.
just, yeah. So I just thought that was pretty brilliant. So find this movie, watch it. It's definitely worth seeing. It may well sneak into my top 10 as well. Never know.
Yeah, so we're at the end of September and they're already promoting October, so it's getting kind of lost in the timing of its release. But
Yeah.
definitely look for it. Especially, if you can't watch it right away, it's going to be on. Catch it during the holiday season, the Halloween season, if you will.
Do they still do that? Do they still do that trending thing where it shows, what's trending, the top 10 trending?
I hope it hits that.
And maybe if it can get in that, then it might have a
Yeah.
fighting chance to get seen.
Everybody watch it so it does. All right, Christopher G. Mohr, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score 1 to 5, and your favorite scene. This will be hot.
Yeah, I think this was a pleasure to watch. This is, I was really blown away by the visuals of it, by the acting in it, the atmosphere, the sound design, music. It all sort of came together, and you could definitely see the influences. It has elements of Haunting a Hill House, has a nice little. I think it's a homage to Evil Dead, but because there's literally a tape recorder that she listens to.
Yep.
and
I
hears
know. Oh
these-
my God, there is, right?
Yeah, so literally, I'm like,
Forgot about that.
you caught my attention. Bravo. And even Silence of the Lambs with like this sort of, basement area and moths and stuff. So there's a lot of things that were my kind of homages. And I think for this to be a first feature film by this director is a pretty amazing achievement because I think everything's on par. And I think the only thing that might throw some people off is like there's at the very beginning, you almost think, is this a foreign film? Because there's parts of it that are done in Spanish. And so But overall, I think this movie was a blast. And other than a few elements of CGI that were kind of obvious, but still kind of worked for the design of the creature by the end of it, I think overall, I really, really love this. This is definitely in my top 10.
Yay.
Nice.
In fact, I'm going to give it a 4.75.
Nice,
I'm going to give it a pretty high
Wow.
rating
Excellent.
because
That is high,
I think that other than just my few nitpicks of certain things and certain times where I got mad at the character
Yeah.
doing things, I was like, oh. But overall, this is a well-crafted, spooky story. One of the creepiest and scariest of the year for me. I hope people see this, and I'm going to be putting it all on my social media when I'm allowed to talk about it, because people need to know about this film. I will say, Crystal stole part of mine. But, I'm just going to say a piece of it. When those footprints show up on the floor, I literally got chills. I got chills, and I was like, I don't like where this is going. I don't like that I'm watching this, and I'm getting creeped out as a single middle-aged man in my living room.
I love it.
But I rarely get that a lot of times with films. Maybe I'm jaded watching so many horror films, but the film literally creeped me out and kind of spooked me. And I think that's when you've done a really good job.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. Another scene is the bathtub scene.
Oh yeah.
With the curtain and
that was good. Yeah.
So I'll say that if I could say another scene, I'll say that specific scene because I think that's well crafted. It's almost like the Psycho of haunted house scenes or whatever.
It is. Yeah. What I liked about the character, Christopher, with the scene that you're talking about first, is that even though she's scared, she has the confidence and the bravery, if you will, to still follow the story and investigate what's going on. Not to be cowering in a corner with the covers over her head. She actually pursues, and I really like that nature.
She has that curiosity that most people are like, I'm not staying here because
but it didn't
feel
like a story construct. It felt like a character.
If I wake up and my door's open to my bedroom, I'm going to shut the damn door real quick. So, I mean, there is definitely a curiosity as to what's happening. But I was like, at the same time, you're stuck watching her curiosity. I was like, damn, girl, you need to get out of the house.
Exactly. Run. Jeff, sir, it's your turn. Let us have it.
Yeah, I'm with all you guys. I think it was Dave talked about the Beto thing, and I thought the whole when he knocks on the door and rings the doorbell and Red finally answers it, that kind of three-way interplay in that scene with Amber up in the window trying to get attention. I thought that was really well done. You could tell what was going on. It didn't feel distracting. You were seeing what Beto was seeing right when you needed to see it, that kind of thing. So it was. I thought that whole scene was great. This is really. I mean, this house is, wow, this house sucks. Amber tries to make, it's a good price. And who is it? Petra goes, yeah, this sucks. She's trying to make the best of it. I don't know. I think it's well written, well acted. It just was good. Who's the character that played Red? Marc Menchaca. Oh, excellent. So let's see. I'm giving this a 4.25, although Christopher almost talked me into moving higher. We'll see. It might go higher. Favorite scene. I really want to go with like one of the gore things, but the second time I watched this twice. The second time I watched it, the second time I watched it, that newsreel thing at the beginning, all of a sudden I went, wow.
It made more sense.
Oh my God, there was a lot of stuff in there. I
might have
just
to watch
watched
that
it the
again.
first time and went, "What is this?
Mhm.
Is this like they're unearthing the volcano or something?" I couldn't really tell what I was seeing. But later, after, uh, it's very portentous. A lot of
Mm,
portent.
yes. Yeah, Marc Menchaca was in Alone that we reviewed
Mhm.
either early this year or last year.
Yes, yes,
Was really good in
yes.
that. Yeah, yeah. I was trying to
Yes, he
think, where
was.
did I
He's a
see him?
fantastic actor.
He,
Yeah, he's great in this. He's great in this. All right, are you son, sir? You got to give us everything. We got it right.
what?
Oh,
I said,
favorite scene? Favorite scene?
was that your favorite scene?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
The newsreel,
Oh, the
or
Oh,
newsreel. Okay, yeah.
I could just say when Red gets redder.
Oh
Red
boy.
gets redder. I like that. All right, I'm just gonna quickly say this movie blew me away, and I really am impressed by the director. There are some flourishes in here that my favorite scene is going to be one of those. Is just really stood out for me. There is a style to this, and I would add one more influence would be the ritual. The whole creature thing felt like the ritual. If
Really?
you guys remember the creature in the ritual,
Hmm.
but and that may just be like drawing comparisons, but it's always there, but then it leads up to it, and then you're like, oh, that's what it is. Anyway, so I absolutely love this. I'm giving it 4.5. It's definitely in my top 10. Even if there are more that are higher than this, it's going to make it into my top 10. It's got to. This movie is. I want to like walk around with copies of this and hand them out. Watch this movie. Watch this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy you guys liked it because you did not tell me before we started.
I know.
I was like, oh no, they didn't like it. My favorite scene, I'm actually going to say two because I can. My favorite scene, though, style-wise, is there's a part of the story when Becker is carrying Amber from the third floor down to the basement because they prepare him on the third floor, right, with all the green stuff, and then they take him down to the basement for God knows what. And while he's doing it, you see all the dead spirits come out of the rooms and down the hallways and everything, and it's the style of it was just so wonderful. And I think that's probably a lot of the Hill House kind of feel to it, right, Christopher?
Yeah.
But it just looks so great, and I was so it changed the perspective of what those spirits were in an instant, right, as they're going down the steps. And I really liked that. I really liked how that played out. And then later, when she's in the room after a really great reveal what happened to the first Russian girl, that really got me. We have another technique where she's on this altar and the box is behind her, and the only way she can see it is where the head falling off the altar, right, or this table, and the camera work switches the perspective in it. But it felt so correct, right? Not only was it a great move, it was a great, interesting, inventive thing, intriguing and way to do it, but it also felt, well, that's exactly what she would see, right? Exactly what you see in her mind, making it all happen, changing everything around so we could see it. So this film, I'm probably going to bump it up to 4.75 after saying all that. Let's just do that.
Oh, well.
Right here, right now, I'm bumping it up 25 because I just tucked myself.
That shot was great because you started off thinking, I'm looking at moths on the floor. But you're looking at moths on the wall, and then it started anyway.
The kinetic cam work, especially when we get down to that basement. I mean, especially when we start going into that elongated inside the box.
Yes.
Oh, I like that too.
And also the movie's very, very much like Jaws, because the whole time you just see like hands and arms come out of it, and then finally when you get to see, it's like, oh shit, that's when that box.
Hey,
close it.
This is, and it's worse than I imagined.
Yeah,
I know.
It's
Isn't that
because
great?
it has that
Isn't that great?
humanoid look about it. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Tricky.
All right. Well, there you go. That's our really long review of No One Gets Out Alive because we had so much fun talking about this particular one. So please check it out and let us know what you think of it down below, because we know what you did is you paused this, you went off and you watched it and you came back and finished, and I bored Crystal to death. So anyway. All right. So thank you for joining us and watching the review. Dave, Crystal, Christopher, Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Thanks
Joining
for
me
having
this
us.
review.
Yep.
It's fun.
It was awesome.
Big
This one
gulp.
was great. Can't wait for October.
October.
Wonderful film.
You know,
Yes, yes.
I was getting ready to say goodnight, but you just said something that triggered me. I love that October's almost here, but like when October 1st gets here,
I would say
it's like,
Halloween's already over.
oh, it's almost
I
over.
do too. No, I do too. I start getting depressed. I
I'm
know.
like, no, we only have one.
I get so much crap about that because I'm like, well, it's practically over. Yay, it's over. They're like, what is wrong with you? It's October. I don't know.
But I feel the same thing. It's like, oh. Anyway, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.